Hey, 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 everybody. Happy Hello Body Freedom Podcast Day. If you can tell, my voice is a little scrappy and I'm not sick. This is a crazy story. And I'm just going to start off the podcast this way about the insanity of my life sometimes. Have you ever, which I know you have, I'm not the only one, like had something just go down the wrong pipe? So I was sipping on some water in the middle of my workday yesterday and it really went down the wrong pipe. I'm telling you, I had like a coughing fit. I couldn't stop. I gave myself the hiccups because I was coughing so hard, I guess. It was this whole dramatic thing. And at the end of it, like how there's a tickle in your throat? It just didn't go away. It was like something was still stuck there yesterday. And I ended up having a ton of coaching calls. I mean, 6 hours, I think, of coaching calls yesterday. And by the end of the day, I did not have a voice. So I've been taking all sorts of vitamin C because I get real psychosomatic about it. I'm like, oh my God, am I really sick? What's going on? And I've been resting my voice. And so this is the best it's been. So I've decided we are going to knock this episode out. Then I'm going to quit talking for the rest of the day so I can at least get my full voice back. And that's the story. And that I'm sticking to it. So I'm really excited to talk to you today about weight loss and the 5 pieces of the puzzle that you're missing. And this is a pretty important conversation. If you are in a place where you are knowing that part of your health journey, a feeling good journey, feeling good in your body, our company is called Hello Body Freedom. If a weight loss journey is a part of that, it's not a part of that for everybody, but for 90% of our clients, it absolutely is. And it can be very frustrating whenever you are trying so hard and you keep looking in all these different directions and maybe you never seem to be able to lose the weight or maybe pop on a diet or something and you lose like, 30 pounds or 50 pounds, but then you end up gaining it back. It's really frustrating because I know that if weight loss is a part of your journey, that your ultimate end is not to lose it and then gain it back. The work, the mindset work, the really truly lifestyle changing to get into a sustainable weight loss journey in a way that you're fully embodied in it, where when you're at the end of that weight loss journey, you could keep doing it because it's just a life that you live and you like it, right? That is kind of the goal, really. And every single time you gain the weight back, the level of feeling defeated, the level of hopelessness, the level of I know for me back in the day, just the mindset fuckery of just beating myself up, feeling like there must be something wrong with me. Why can she seem to eat whatever she wants and she looks great? Why could she seem to lose the weight and I always seem to gain it back? Whatever it might be for you, I just know that I've been there and I have spent the last decade of my life after selling my fitness company because after a degree in kinesiology and nutrition studies at school and really knowing what to eat and how to lose weight and how, the workings of the body and la, 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 la. And then watching myself yo-yoing back and up and down and watching my clients yo-yoing back and up and down. And we're talking at like levels of 90%. So losing some and then gaining it back over and over again is what prompted me to sell my fitness company and really start doing this deeper work. And so what I'm sharing with you today is really a culmination of the last decade of my career in the studies of the psychology of eating, in the studies of somatic work, embodiment work, trauma resolution, and quite frankly, just like sustainable healthy habit creation, which is the opposite of quick fixes. So I'm really excited to share these 5 pieces that you're likely either missing or if you're a client and you're here, we have a lot of clients that listen to Hello Body Freedom too. You know what these pieces are because you're working on them inside of Hello Body Freedom, but also know that this work that we're talking about takes time. So without further ado, let's dive in. I'm really, really excited to share this with you. Before we dive in, actually, I'm, like, dressed and ready for my workout today. So if you are watching this on YouTube, I've got, like, the workout outfit on. It's a real kinda, like, humid spring day here. Like, my hair is a frizz ball mess, and it's warm in here. Like, I got the fan going. I got a window open because it is spring. I, like, wanna take advantage of the outdoor feel. But getting my movement routine in, whatever it might be for whatever stage of my life it is, today it's gonna look like going somewhere for an hour and doing something. Either strength wise, cardio wise, stretching wise, both, whatever that might look like. I can't decide today, honestly. I can't decide if I'm gonna hit up Orange Theory, which is a great cardio and strength workout, or if I wanna go to Core Power Yoga, which is where I teach yoga, and take a power yoga class because that feels really juicy right now. Or they also have Yoga Sculpt, which is very interesting, and I enjoy it for sure. It's like lighter weights, but still pretty effective. Anyhow, I'm pondering, but I know that by having myself dressed and ready to go, it's one of the tricks that's gonna help me when the time is right to just get out of the house and get going. So that's just a little bit about my life and what I've got going on right now. And let's go ahead and dive into the 5 pieces of the weight loss puzzle. So what I just shared with you is not actually a piece of the weight loss puzzle that I'm gonna be sharing with you today. It's just about habit stacking, and we're not gonna talk about that because those are important. Habit stacking is super important, but these 5 pieces are really the things that are likely missing in a big, meaningful way. Okay, the very first one is you are likely still dieting or you are really trapped in diet mentality. And what do I mean by that? So research shows that 90 to 97% of diets fail, meaning that if you go on a very purposeful weight loss diet where you follow some very, very, very specific plan, where you count specific points, where you enter in data of everything and where you really learn that I can only eat what this food plan tells me, but I cannot eat this stuff because it's not on the food plan. All of these are considered dieting even if you are saying, "No, no, no, Audra, I'm just clean eating." But if your clean eating is completely inundated with diet culture mentality, which basically is psychological restriction. So let's say you're clean eating to lose weight, but you're making yourself right when you eat certain foods and then you're demonizing other foods, which is basically just psychological fuckery. And it will end up backfiring on you ultimately. And what we've learned just from an epic amount what I've learned of almost a 3-decade career with working with clients and just the research that just shows that whenever you get so dogmatic and you're following diets, the reason why they don't work, number 1 is they're so calorically restrictive. So when you are just drastically cutting the amount of calories that you're eating, even if you're following something that's, let's say, 2,000 calorie diet. You're like, "Oh, but that's like the right amount." If you regularly eat like 4,000 calories a day, and there's a lot of people that eat that regularly and maintain their weight there, and then you drop that by 50%, this is called, like, physiological restriction. It is so grossly under what your body deems as normal and safe and worthy. Will you lose weight? Yeah, absolutely. But it is a one-way ticket to putting the weight back on. It is absolutely over and over again, research shows it is absolutely not the right thing. The other problem with dieting isn't just, like, the massive caloric restriction that you will lose the weight and gain it back. It's the psychological restriction. So every time that you tell yourself, "Oh, well, this diet, okay, so I can't eat bread and I can eat carbs, but I have to count 25 grams of carbs, and that's all I can eat for carbs. And then these are the only carbs that I can eat," right? And what you've literally done is you've just without knowing it, you have made all the other food that you can't have. That's one way of doing it. And there's probably a lot of this food over here that's a part of, like, your weekend or your normal life or a little snack or something like that, right? And the problem with this is that as soon as you make one thing good and one thing bad, I know it might sound crazy to you, and I didn't understand it. It sounded woo-woo the first time I heard it back in, like, I think this was, like, 2010 when I was going to the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. It's this idea that, like, when you eat this good food, you then internalize that you are good. And then when you inevitably eat this other food that's not allowed, that now you've decided is bad, you've internalized that this food is not allowed, then you internalize that you are bad. You make yourself wrong for eating what this food is. And this really becomes a bigger problem because if you look at all the diets out there, every single one of them has a different plan. Are you keto, which means you can't have any carbs at all? Or are you deciding to go vegan, which is probably a lot higher carb? Are you going paleo, which means I can never eat what bread or milk or something like that? Or are you on, I don't know, are you counting points? I mean, it is just, it's insane what ends up happening because then you don't know you can't remember what diet is what and which food is good and which food is bad, and then you have this whole list of bad foods, and then, "Oh, but that food's not bad if I'm following this way, but then it is bad if I'm following that way, so I wonder what diet I'm gonna be on today based on how I feel." It's just wackadoodle, it's crazer, it's absolute, like, craziness, and we need to, like, stop that shit, okay? So inside of Hello Body Freedom, we lead with there is no bad food, right? If I know that actually that's not true. We have a good food and a bad food list, and the bad food is anything that you don't like. And I love giving the example all the time. I give it all the time, which is liver and onions. And I remember when I was going to Bowman College in Santa Cruz, California, and we were it was like a beautiful, like epic to become a holistic nutrition educator. The education was epic, and we're learning the nutritional value of liver and onions. And when you learn in this kind of setting, like how epically healthy liver and onions is, like the nutritional density of this meal is just off the charts, off the charts, off the charts. And so then, of course, my good this food is good, this food is bad. I try so hard to eat liver and onions, and every time it just about made me wanna puke. I mean, just like, blah, blah. So, liver and onions is on my bad list. It doesn't matter how nutritionally dense it is. I'm just not gonna put it on my good list. Okra is another one. It is the slimiest, grossest, southern, nasty vegetable on the planet, and if any of my family is listening, they're, like, appalled because every human I'm around loves okra, and I literally don't get it. It's disgusting. It's on my bad list. I don't care how healthy it is, right? Anything I like to eat goes on my good list. And so I eat a Dairy Queen Blizzard occasionally, right? It reminds me of my childhood. I eat it in terms of hunger and enough. My weight has stayed the same for 15 years. Inevitably, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a Dairy Queen Blizzard. It's with Oreos too. I eat Oreos. I don't eat Dairy Queen Blizzards very often, and I don't eat Oreos very often. I have a real understanding of nutrient value, like there's certain things that I should have more of from a nutrient dense perspective and less of. But because I finally let go of this diet like mentality, poosh, guess what? Like I can eat a blizzard without guilt. I can have a couple of Oreos instead of the entire sleeve. It's amazing what ends up happening. And here's the other problem with dieting is that you start your diet and then what ends up happening every single time you start a diet on Monday? Like get real with yourself. What ends up happening? You start the diet on Monday. What do you do for the weekend before? I know what you do because I did the same thing. The weekend before, you're going to eat all of the foods that you know that you cannot eat on this diet. You are going to really get it in because on Monday, I'm starting afresh. I'm turning a new leaf. It's going to be amazing. I'm never going to eat those foods again. So I better get them in now. And what ends up happening, and there's a lot of research, there's studies done on this. What ends up happening is that you end up overeating so much before you end up starting a diet that the whole thing ends up balancing itself out and you end up not losing weight or gaining weight. Like you would have been better off just not going on a restrictive diet in the first place because then what would have happened is psychologically you wouldn't have spent the 3 days before or maybe the week before completely overeating like a crazy person. And then what this does is it just gets you into this, like, pendulum. So, like, I don't know, I'm just, like, preaching the choir, but the truth is all the other parts that we're gonna talk about, the number 2, 3, 4, and 5, if you are still dieting and really, really stuck in diet culture, then the other 4 are just, like we're probably not gonna get too far with the other 4 until we kinda get this part handled. So that's why I like to talk about it first. I will put a shout out to my, challenge. You can go to hellobodyfreedom.com/challenge. That's hellobodyfreedom.com/challenge. We talk a lot about this. We go into way more detail inside the challenge, really putting that out there for you. We have completely updated the challenge. It is guided by me. No matter when you come in, you get to connect with me, and there it is the number one way to connect with me and to really start to get these deeper reasons why you're struggling with your food, with your relationship with food, with body, and with your weight. Okay, so we understand that the very first piece of the weight loss puzzle that you're missing is you might still be dieting. Okay, maybe you quit dieting. Maybe you've never dieted. Maybe you've already figured out that doesn't work for me. Okay, great. Well, then let's go to the next piece because this is likely the second piece of the weight loss puzzle that you're missing is that you are emotionally eating. Now, I will say straight up for me, uh, I never identified it as emotional eater. And whenever I had started my fitness and nutrition company and I would hear out in the interwebs or I'd hear the words, oh, emotional eating, it really jarred me. Like I was offended when I heard the words emotional eating, almost like disgusted, like, ugh, like I don't do that. Like there was some judgy kind of thing. And I really, really believed I didn't emotionally eat. And it took me until my mid-30s to start to really untangle that actually I had been an emotional eater for 3 decades. I'd started emotional eating around 6 years old. I have vivid memories, and it was right, which makes sense when I'm starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together. This was, back in my 30s, I started doing this. That was right when my parents divorced, right? So food became solace for me, and over time I learned that food is like a thing. If I'm feeling a certain thing in my body, food fixes it. And this is reinforced through familial relations. I have a bad day and my grandmother would make me cookies or cake or something like that. Our culture, celebration is always with sugar and candy and things like it's all these feel good things we marry the food in. And there's nothing wrong with that unless you have tangled up completely eating with feelings. So instead of eating because of hunger, which is the best reason to eat, and stopping at enough, which is the best reason to stop, what you now have are all of these other things you've got going on in terms of what you're feeling in the body. And then you've learned that food is kind of the coping mechanism, the strategy, the answer. And so I'll tell you that the reason I never believed I was an emotional eater is because the food was going down so fast before I ever felt an emotion. And that's the power of emotional eating. If you can think about where your emotions, like how that exists in the body and in the brain, it's not in your prefrontal smart conscious cortex. It's lower, it's in your limbic system. It is more of a subconscious experience in the body. And then if you've learned that certain emotions are not okay to feel, which almost all of us have learned that. We learned this in our childhood. We're allowed to feel this way, but we're not allowed to feel that way. We subconsciously learn this from our families and our culture. Then for sure, the moment you start to feel it today as a grown ass woman, and for me, for sure, in my 30s, my early 30s especially, anything that I would feel, I did not know that the food was going in my mouth that fast. I didn't even make connection with it, right? That's why I never thought I was an emotional eater. I'm like, "Oh, have my emotions handled, whatever." No, I never allowed myself to feel my emotions because the food would go in faster than I could even imagine, right? So emotional eating is real. Like, I'll give you just this quick synopsis. So, there is a trigger. There is something that happens, and it's a trigger. So, the trigger can come from outside, the trigger can come from inside, but it is a trigger. Okay. And whatever that trigger is, creates an inner experience in your body. Whether it's I had a bad day at work, whether it's, oh my gosh, I'm so excited because we're all going to go out to eat and we haven't been out to eat in a long time. And so, like, there's like excitement, right? That's an emotion. A hard day, a stressful day, like, all of these are gonna include an inner experience that is happening at a subconscious, body-based emotional way. Most of us don't have context to what that is. What we do have context of subconsciously and unconsciously is whatever this trigger is, now there's an inner experience. And then on the other side of the inner experience is the outcome. It's the thing that you end up doing, okay? And so the trigger drives the inner experience, but the inner experience, whatever that thing is, drives the eating, it drives the using the food to cope, okay? What we need to understand in terms of how we untangle emotional eating is we can't stop a trigger. The trigger happens, whether it's outside of us, like our boss said something or our kid did something that triggered us, right? Or whether it's an inner trigger. Sometimes we can't control what that is, but it is something that triggered us that created this inner experience. And so, what we do have control over is how do we work with this inner experience? But what 90% of us or any of us that are using food to cope, what happens is instead of learning how to work with the inner experience, we move right over to the outcome. We move right over to the food. Okay. And so the work of untangling is we can't fix triggers, but the way that we change the outcome is to go in and work with the inner experience. This is exactly what we do in Hello Body Freedom. And it's very, very important. Okay. I want to finish the whole emotional eating part with some real basics here. If you stress eat, if you eat when you're bored, if you anxious eat, if you comfort eat, if you mindlessly eat, if you eat because it tastes good, if you eat because, "Ooh, that sounds good. I might want some more of that." If you eat because, "Well, nobody else is gonna tell me what to eat. I'll eat whatever I want. Watch me," which is I call like rebellious eating, right? These are just basic examples. Some of them might be deep, some of them aren't so deep. Like bored eating isn't deep, but the end of the day, bored is the inner experience that you don't know how to feel and you don't know what to do with it. You don't know how to process it. And you think food is the answer. And the more that you keep thinking food is the answer, just in that very basic example, like, yeah, it's going to be really hard to lose weight because you're going to be overeating in times that are disconnected from physical hunger and enough. Okay. So those are the two big ones. The third one is connected to number 2, and this one is a huge part of the weight loss puzzle that you are very likely missing, and it is that you have a dysregulated nervous system that is totally connected to overeating patterns. Very similar to the emotional eating part, but a dysregulated nervous system is, and we're not going to get into the science of this. If you want more, we go way, way deep inside of the Food and Body Freedom Challenge. So you guys can go to hellobodyfreedom.com/challenge. It is a 5-day challenge. It has been completely revamped. It is the Food and Body Freedom Challenge like 2.0. It is so epic. I'm super excited. And this is one of the epic ones. So I'm not going to get all the way into the science of working with a dysregulated nervous system. But what you need to understand is that if you just always feel like you're in survival mode, you always feel like you're stressed out. It's like this chronic way of being on the planet where there's fear or anxiety or stress or just like activation, just like survival mode over and over again, right? For so many of us, this is 100%. First off, this is called a dysregulated nervous system. If we're living in this pattern of dysregulation, then already that's connected to so many illnesses, problems in the body, problems with sleep, psycho-emotional problems, right? So we were never meant to live in this dysregulated state, right? Stress responses are important. Like we have an entire nervous system that's designed to stress response happens, activate the system in order to keep us safe and alive, and then process and regulate what this is because the ultimate goal really is to be living in a sense of thriving, living in a space where you feel connection and clarity and calm, like not calm, vegged out, but like calm and focused. And you feel like joy and bliss, and you feel connected to the humans in your life where the glass is half full and the glass is not half empty, where you've got you, right? This is a really healthy, nervous system wise, really, really healthy place to live. And so, for so many of us, what we have connected is this dysregulated nervous system. And again, kind of like emotional eating, food fixes it. Now, I will say a whole lot of people walk on this planet with a dysregulated nervous system, and not everybody is using food as a coping strategy. But if you are struggling with your weight loss journey and you are struggling in your body and you are struggling with your relationship with food, I can pretty much guarantee you this number 3 piece, this dysregulated nervous system piece, is fully connected to your overeating patterns, the same way that your feelings and emotions are tangled in a web with eating as well. And so these are really big pieces. And notice we're not talking about kale and carrots or don't eat the cookies or the carbs. Like all that's bullshit, right? These are where you're gonna get your big wins from, and this is exactly what we do. This is exactly where we lead from inside of Hello Body Freedom, okay? When we start to solve at this level, it's very, very powerful. Okay, so number 1, you're still dieting. So we get off the diet train, you're gonna be, like, winning the game in a big way. Number 2, you're emotional eating, and you haven't learned how to untangle that yet. Number 3, your nervous system is just in survival mode and dysregulated, and it's connected to your overeating patterns. And just kind of just see what feels true for you. There's no like blame or shame here. It's just like these are probably what ain't working. Number 4, you keep trying to solve your self-sabotage. So if you think about the overeating, the emotional eating, the not getting to the gym, right? I gave you like my whole little talk at the beginning. I go, this is one way that I can help myself keep my word to myself. Ultimately, self-sabotage is I say I'm gonna do something and I don't do it. I say I'm gonna do something and I don't do it. And the more that we have that behavior of saying we're gonna do something and then we don't do it, it really creates like a downward spiral where we start to think there's something wrong with me, right? And then we go, well, I need to solve my behavior, or I just need to like white knuckle it. I need to force it. But actually, and again, we do talk about this during the challenge. So the 5-day Food and Body Freedom Challenge is very deep. It is not fluff. It is really powerful. But ultimately, with self-sabotage, we have to understand, which is not easy to understand. And I give you ways in which to understand this really powerfully inside of the challenge. So definitely go sign up, hellobodyfreedom.com/challenge. Go get in there. But ultimately, all of these parts that you think are wrong have actually served a purpose of attempting to keep you safe and alive. These self-sabotaging parts, believe it or not, they think that are actually doing something right for you. They're keeping you safe and alive, right? They're keeping you in a way where, gosh, if you have a major, major aversion, like you're a perfectionist and everything has to be perfect. Perfectionism is an absolute way to keep you safe, right? Because there's no way perfection doesn't exist. It literally doesn't exist on this planet. There is no such thing as perfection. But if you believe there is, then for sure you will always fail. So perfection is a way to keep you safe by not even trying. Because what happens if you try and you mess up or you didn't get it right? What does that do to your inner self-talk and your emotions and all of the, like, just, like, trash talking? It probably gets really high. You're, like, literally your body's like, "Well, then we ain't gonna do that shit. We're gonna keep her safe, keep her on the couch. We'll watch another Netflix. That's all good." Do you know what I mean? And so when we can understand that these parts are actually trying to help us solve the problem, what we can then learn how to do is work with self-sabotaging behaviors instead of against them. And that's how we start to change little by little. This is what we do. And again, I teach it in the challenge. So go take this challenge. It's an epic, epic food and body freedom challenge. Okay. So we've gone through the 4. So you're still dieting, you're emotionally eating, your nervous system is dysregulated, okay? You keep trying to solve your self-sabotage problems, like white knuckling it and figuring it out and forcing them down, doesn't work. And then the other one, the last one is that you really think that I should be able to lose like 50 pounds in 90 days or something like that. You believe that if I just do this one quick thing, then I can check mark and then I'll be at the weight I need to be at and I don't ever have to think about it again. And it is such a minimalistic way of thinking. It is such an all or nothing black and white, not all or nothing, but very black and white. Well, yeah, all or nothing too, way of thinking about a journey. And if you like related to the diet culture thinking that you have to untangle from your head. If you relate to any level of using food to cope emotionally or because of a nervous system dysregulation, right? This goes so much deeper than I'm just going to do a quickie weight loss plan and then I'm just going to starve myself for 30 days to lose these 20 pounds and then we're done. Most of the clients that come into Hello Body Freedom have already tried that over and over again, and they're just sick of it. They're sick of the gaining the weight back, the feeling hopeless at the end of it. They're ready for a new way. And that's what we teach in Hello Body Freedom. We literally hand you a way out of food hell and body jail in a way that is just ultimately sane, normal, and quite frankly, is working with and healing the reasons you would be overeating in the first place. And from what I see out there, I just don't see it. I do not see embodiment based working not just at the thought level and the mind level, not working just at the habit level and the behavior level, but working at the nervous system embodied level in order to solve a problem that is actually happening at the nervous system body level. That is what we do in Hello Body Freedom. And it is very powerful. And the way that you're gonna learn more about it is I'm just gonna put the other shout out. Here we go. hellobodyfreedom.com/challenge. Go join the challenge. You literally can start today. I want you to start today. It will change your life. It will blow your mind. You have likely never seen this information cultivated this way. This is the last decade of my life that I said, F having a fitness company, F handing people diet plans, just F all of that because I'm going crazy with losing weight and gaining weight, and I just keep progressively getting heavier and heavier the more I keep doing this shit. My clients would lose some weight, disappear, then gain it back, or they wouldn't lose weight at all because the force and the struggle, and I'm telling you, there is a reason why this traditional diet and fitness plan doesn't work. And I want you to really hear me. Like we just talked about, I'm excited to go exercise today. I'm not going to the gym or whatever the hell I'm gonna go do today. I don't even quite know yet. I'm gonna make a decision soon. I'm not going there to lose weight. I'm going there because moving my body is epic. That is diet programming. I've detangled that, right? And so is moving your body like epic and good for you? Yes. Is eating nutrient dense food great? Yes. But those are not your problems. Those are not your problems. Your problem is that you have something that's going on, your inner experience that you haven't figured out what to do with it, how to feel it, how to process it. But what you have learned how to do is food has become the thing that fixes it. And even if you don't consider yourself a major overeater or a binge eater, right? I have plenty of clients that I go like, well, I just know that I'm grazing all day, or I know that I'm mindlessly eating, and I know that this is a part. I'm like, well, yeah, because once we start to get some parameters in, we start to learn how to actually feel what we're feeling and work with this inner experience instead of using food to cope, everything changes. All of the sudden, like, the weight loss game just becomes so much easier. And now you become a better human. You become more emotionally intelligent. Your nervous system goes from survival to thriving, right? I can't tell you how many people I know that are in this survival struggle bus life feel, and they're just like, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, weight loss, gotta go. And then they lose the weight, but this is still a disaster. And then, of course, they end up gaining it back again, right? Their body's already in like a nervous system shutdown. Like the part of your brain that just wants to keep you safe and alive is always activated. So, doing this work, it starts to heal like weight loss levels, but also just from just a human feeling good in your body, having that sense of freedom in your body, but also that sense of freedom with food where there's peace and ease around it, where it's not this constant obsession over and over again. So I cannot wait to see you inside of the challenge. It's the Food and Body Freedom Challenge. I was thinking of the URL hellobodyfreedom.com/challenge. Get in there. Hopefully, my voice will be better by the time I get in there with you. And I cannot wait to see you go on this healing journey. It's a really, really epic challenge. Huge shout out for it. And I'm really excited. And everything we talked about today, we will go depth, in depth in a beautiful way. And we will individualize it for you inside of that challenge. So based on your unique stuff that you've got going on, we can take what you're learning in the challenge and we can really put it together for you. And all of this is free, completely fucking free, y'all. Booyah. All right, I'm gonna go rest my voice. Everybody, I hope you have an epic, epic rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.